What's going on, everybody? It's Fast Cars, Fast Money, and we're talking about the Cup Series at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It is race number one of round two of the playoffs. We are back in the 550 horsepower package. The entire first round of the playoffs was running the 750 package. So this will be the first playoff race in that 550 package. So just keep that in mind. The Cup race is it's a Sunday night race, which is a little bit different. Normally if it's a night race, it's Saturday night, and then usually the Cup cars, will run Sunday afternoon. But with the heat, they are making it a Sunday night race out there in Las Vegas. We did race here earlier this year, but that was very early at the beginning of the year, so a lot has changed since then. But if you are looking at lap data, if you are trying to figure out who potentially might be good, comparing one driver to another, just keep in mind that this is a 1.5 mile intermediate track. So those are the track types that we would focus on. And then more specifically, the tracks that don't have a lot of tire wear, because Las Vegas is relatively a minimal, tire wear track. It should be pretty crazy restarts and pit road are really going to be your two opportunities to really pass people. After that, it's still possible to pass them. It's just going to be a little bit more difficult. So look for, the beginning of the stages, the start of the race, anytime there's a caution to, drivers being aggressive, usually using the width of the racetrack. But after that, I really imagine these drivers are just going to fall in line and, probably expect some cautions for the truck race and the Xfinity race. But relatively speaking, I think this Cup race should be a green race. So let's talk about the driver by driver breakdown, the picks. It's really just a Kyle Larson week, I think. I mean, I think everyone's going to be saying it. I think everyone's going to be on him. I think DraftKings really underpriced Larson this week. It's really easy to play whoever you want. He was dominant here in the first Vegas race. He starts on the pole. If you look at all the lap data, he's been the fastest car all year long in the 550 package. Like, he's just in prime position to run away with this race. So I think it really comes down to, play Larson if you're only playing one line. If you're building multiple lines, I can understand fading him because of the ownership. But regardless, I would hammer Larson, and then really comes down to who do you pair him with. I think some potential good guys to pair with Larson would be Kyle Busch and Chase Elliott up in the 10K range. You could probably only afford one of those guys. Busch did really disappointed a lot of people last week at Bristol. I know he was pretty high owned. We were high, on him, and he just didn't have that dominating kind of day that we all imagined that he would. So maybe that drops his ownership a little bit this week. Does offer some nice place differential. And if you look at his driver rating, the 550 package, he actually has the third highest driver rating. So some dominator upside, some place differential upside. So I'd love pairing Kyle Busch with Larson. Hamlin, I think, is a good GPP option. Probably wouldn't go there in cash, but Hamlin has just been super consistent. He has really kind of been maybe more dominant, maybe as of late, with his ability to get out front and kind of stay out front. It's just hard to go against the Hendrick cars this weekend. So Elliott's another guy who's interesting. I don't know if he's going to draw ownership or not. In the first Vegas race, he had contact, and with these stupid bodies that the Cup cars run, the slightest amount of contact can make the biggest difference in the world. So his team worked on it throughout the race and was eventually able to somewhat repair it, and he still had a good finish. But before he had that contact, he was one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. So he's a little bit cheaper than Kyle Busch. He offers one extra place differential spot. I think the Hendrick car should be really fast this weekend. So I love pairing Larson with either Busch or Elliott. Then you drop down to the 9K range. Legato and Truex, I'm just really not too interested in. I think there's just more upside with grabbing an Elliott or Busch for some extra money. Kurt Busch is interesting. He's won a race in this 550 horsepower package. We've seen him have good, top 8 speed, in this package regardless. So, and he starts 20th. And I don't know, he might get overlooked. I think he's a good place differential play, especially if you're playing that narrative out in your head of, okay, I think Larson's going to lead all the laps, so he's going to get all the lap lead points. How can I score points in my line if Larson's, hogging up all those dominator points? Oh, maybe place differential. Hey, Kurt Busch is a good driver, offers some good place differential. That's going to help my line. Like, I can see that working out. Harvick, I'm really not too interested in Harvick. Yeah, the team's been running better, but we got to remember this is the 550 horsepower package. I mean, I don't think they're going to be bad, but I don't see him getting out front. I struggle to see him picking up fast laps. Blaney, if you're going contrarian, if you aren't playing Larson, I think you need to play Blaney. But if you are playing Larson, I would not touch Blaney. So Blaney starts second. If for whatever reason Larson unloads and has, just misses on the setup or has a restart violation or, spins the tires, like Blaney is right there to be able to, take over the early part of the race, at least probably until the competition caution. But then again, I mean, you got Byron right behind him too. So it's tough. I mean, Blaney's in a really tough position, but if you're being contrarian, I don't mind it. Byron, I have high interest on him. Probably GPP only option, but I love William Byron this weekend. I think he's underpriced. He starts third, so I think that might really lower his ownership. I can see a lot of people saying I'd rather just play Bowman, who starts 4 spots further back. He's even cheaper. I'm high on Bowman too, but based off of imagining that a lot of people are going to be on Bowman, I'd like to get potentially off of him and jump onto William Byron. Byron's been one of the best drivers in this 550 horsepower package. He has the second best driver rating behind Kyle Larson. He can literally just pull right behind Larson and cruise. I can see Larson getting the laps led. I can see Byron picking up some fast laps and still at the end of the day, get a top 8 finish with the potential to potentially get out in front and lead too. So like Byron a lot. Keselowski, he's okay. I don't mind it. He's been pretty good at these 1.5 mile tracks, especially the ones that don't seem to have a lot of higher tire wear. Christopher Bell, stats aren't the best for him in this package, but you're getting a JGR card, $8,500 starting 12th. So I think you still need to consider him. Bowman, I love Bowman. I think Bowman is a great play. He's underpriced. He might get overlooked too because of if people are looking at the first Las Vegas race, I think he had a tire go down or loose wheel or something right at the end of the race, and he had to pit under green, and it killed his results. But before that, I mean, he was running in the top 5. He was moving forward. He was, laying down fast laps, and he looked like a contender. I mean, all the Hendrick cars look good. So if you can get those Hendrick cars in your line, I think you're going the right way. Matt Benedetto, way too expensive there at $8,200. Austin Dillon's a little expensive at $8,100, but he's been really fast. Both the RCR cars have been really fast in this package. I think Dillon and Reddick are basically the same play. It really just kind of comes down to who you're more confident in and maybe who you can afford if that's kind of the last guy you're building in your line. And then you have Ross Chastain, right in the middle of them at $7,900. Chastain's in the same equipment as Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch has been great in this package. Chastain just seems to have more momentum than some of the other drivers in the field, and he takes risks on the restarts. Like if you ever are watching the race and it's right after the caution, like just watch the 42 car. Like he'll go all the way to the bottom of the track, he'll go all the way up to the top of the track, and it is a little risky, but those are the moves that advance him so much further in the race, and he's able to maintain those running positions and even continue to pick up other positions. So Chastain is great on these restarts, and that's what it really takes to really advance your position at these types of racetracks. Suarez has been a driver who's been kind of trending the wrong direction, but he should run a similar setup to Reddick and Dillon. Starts 26. I don't mind it if it's a place differential play, but I'd much rather just drop down and get Newman and Buescher. Roush has been really fast at the 550 package, especially these intermediate tracks. Buescher might be a little bit more popular, so I can see getting off of him and jumping up to Newman, who starts even further back. But then again, I imagine both of them are going to carry some ownership, but I think for a good reason. Custer and Almirola, not really too interested in there. Maybe if it was a 750 horsepower package, maybe, but 550, not so much. I like Stenhouse and Wallace a lot in the 6K range. If you're paying up for those top drivers, you're going to have to find some value lower on the slate. I think Stenhouse and Wallace are probably your two go-to guys, with maybe you could throw probably Ryan Preece in that equation too of the 6K range. Stenhouse normally runs really well in the spring Vegas race. And then if you look at his fall results, for whatever reason, it looks like he's in a completely different car. His spring results are so much better than his fall results. So that's slightly concerning, but the speed's there. We've seen it this year. And like I said, you're going to need some value. And I don't know how many people are going to go to Stenhouse. Bubba Wallace has been a team who's been running better of late too. If you look at their 550 horsepower, average running position, finishes, where their speed's at, it makes a lot of sense to be on Bubba Wallace this weekend, just from an upside potential, as looking at potential plays. Jones starts too high. Preece has a new sponsor in the car this weekend. He's still looking for a ride next year. Maybe you want to play the ownership play and get off Stenhouse and jump down to Preece if you think Stenhouse is going to carry a lot of ownership. I think Preece and Stenhouse are basically the same play, just whoever you're more confident in. I think Stenhouse has a little bit of a higher ceiling, but both of them are relatively, I would say, risky with, potentially having issues, but you can really say that about any of the drivers. The Joy is just too expensive this week at $6,200. Chase Briscoe, again, we're in the 550 horsepower package. That team has not had top 20 speed once all year long with that package. Michael McDowell, that team is now basically, I wrote it, they're irrelevant again. They're out of the playoffs, not interested there. If you are going to play a front row motorsports car, just drop down and get Alfredo. But even then, Alfredo hasn't been that good in this package. I'd much rather pay down and get Justin Haley, who starts one spot further back, as a punt play that not a lot of people are going to be on. If a lot of people are going to be on Alfredo, pivot off of him, I think it's basically the same play. Haley should finish anywhere from 25th to 30th. Do you really see Alfredo finishing any higher than 25th? I don't. So I like Justin Haley as a good pivot off of maybe the popular Alfredo punt play. Yaley, not interested in the MBM car. BJ McLeod, maybe. His DNF, he had no DNFs until last week at Bristol, which was unfortunate. So he knows how to keep the car clean, just run around, clock laps off. Problem is, I don't really see this track or this race having a lot of accidents. And that's what you really need to have these punt plays work out, because you play a punt play to nail the lap leaders, to nail the guys who are picking up the fast laps. You just stack your line and then hope that maybe there's a lot of accidents, or based off pure attrition, that this punt play just moves forward and gives you 15 points. Maybe it's 5 points less than, the popular punt play, but because you were able to get that extra lap leader in there, it carries your line. It's pretty rare that any of these punt plays are optimal, but it's a good strategy, I think, to, be different and still earn a lot of points. Joey Gase, not interested in neither with Smithley or Bilicki or Ware. Then we get good old, bare minimum price Quinn Half starting 45th. There's been a couple of times this year where I'm play Huff, or you maybe don't play him, but consider him. I remember the one time we said play Huff, and we all did, and he forgot to put the wheel on and, wrecked and was out on lap 1 or, turn 2 or turn 3 or whatever it was. But again, he starts 36, can't lose you any points, and it really allows you to build a really nice line if you do play him. So if you're building one line, probably shouldn't have him in it, but if you're building multiple lines and looking to get different, I don't mind that at all. So like I said, it really just comes down to Larson and then finding the right plays, I think, to pair with him. So like I said, like Larson, Busch, Elliott, the Hendrick cars, some of these cheaper punt plays, get good value, and, just kind of go from there. But it should be a fun race. I'm excited for this weekend. We got all 3 series should be on the track. So if you haven't already, check out our truck video and our Xfinity video. Any questions you have, shoot them over to us on Twitter. If you're new here, subscribing to the channel means a lot. And then, if you're avid, watcher of the channel. Liking just really helps with the YouTube algorithm to just really continue to help us grow. So thank you guys as always, and best of luck this weekend.